guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kaylee. Thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, we are going to be talking about and reviewing the new Jaclyn Hill Armed and Gorgeous palette. This is one of 4 eyeshadow palettes that she created with Morphe. This is what she calls her yellow palette. Is it really a yellow palette? I don't know, but that's what she calls it. So we are going to be discussing and reviewing this palette today. We are going to be doing a demo where I show you guys how I got this look that I am wearing right here. And I'm also going to be showing you guys all of the swatches for this palette. So if you're not subscribed to my channel already, please make sure to click that red button right down below. Go ahead and subscribe before you leave. And if you guys are ready to see the review of the Armed and Gorgeous palette by Jaclyn Hill, then please keep watching and let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, so the brows and my eyelids are all prepped and primed using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. So this is the palette right here. All the packaging of the palettes is essentially the same with the exception of there's a couple little like sparkle confetti specks of that like mustardy golden shade just kind of sprinkled in throughout the silver here. And then it also says the name of the palette right on the top here, Armed and Gorgeous, Morphe x Jaclyn Hill. So the packaging is really cute, very compact. And then you open it up here and this is the beautiful palette. So this is definitely one of the ones I was most excited to use. I just think that the colors look very wearable for me personally. And I was super excited to get my hands on this super beautiful metallic white shade right here. I just think that this is gonna be so beautiful for highlighting not only the eyes, but also my face with my skin being so fair. I like that there are definitely more matte shades than shimmer shades. I think that this is just gonna allow you to do a lot of different looks using this palette. To me, it reads very fall, especially with this deep kind of huntery green in here. And then the rest of the shades are definitely more warm toned. So I think today we're just gonna go where this palette takes us, and I'm imagining it's gonna end up looking like a very fall look, but I'm okay with that. So first things first, let's go ahead and swatch all of these colors so that you guys can see them. VIP, Access, Guilt Trip, Coin, Agent, Top Secret, Smooth Criminal, Secure, Prowl, and Classified. So these are all the beautiful swatches right here, just having swatched them with one swipe and no product on my arm. All right, now we are ready. Our concealer is still slightly sticky. Right off the bat, I will say one thing that I don't really like about the packaging of these is that you cannot bend the palette all the way back. Like I tried to bend it all the way back and I actually pulled this back section up away from the palette itself. So I'm kind of breaking it, bending it this far back. I really like when you can fold palettes all the way back because it just makes it very easy to hold. And then especially when you're using the mirror on the back, it just makes it super easy if you can lay it flat. Unfortunately, these palettes do not let you do that. But nonetheless, they did include a mirror in this palette and I do really appreciate that. I know Morphe doesn't typically include mirrors, and that was a big feedback that Jaclyn got on her original Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, that it didn't include a mirror, and a lot of people asked for that, so that's why she included the mirror on this palette. So for $15 for it to include a mirror, we're off to a good start. Per all of my reviews, I always try to use as many shades as possible. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in a little bit and we're gonna get started with the demo. So the first shade we're gonna go into is the color Access. It's kind of just a beautiful golden mustardy shade. So I think we're gonna start with that shade and kind of start it as our transition. Kind of tapping it down and then we will blend. So normally I kind of have an idea of where I want the look to go or like what kind of a look I want to do, but today I really don't. Now we're just going to do some blending with circular motions. So you lose a little bit of the intensity when you blend it out, but it's not too terrible. This is a very pretty like golden mustardy shade, but it's definitely not yellow. And what was confusing to me when Jaclyn was revealing her Vault collection is that she kept calling this her yellow palette. And while it does kind of have a little bit of a golden theme to it. I would call this more of like an orange palette, not necessarily a yellow palette, because for one, there's not even a yellow in this palette. This is the most yellow, and it is a very mustardy yellow, which has a lot of orange. So this is a very orangey, mustardy yellow. This is a burnt orange. This is a deeper burnt orange. There's no yellow in this palette, so I was kind of confused when she kept referring to this as the yellow palette. Aside from the bright kind of golds, to me it's more of a golden or an orange palette more so than a yellow palette. That's just my thoughts on it. I mean, she can call it whatever she wants to, obviously. For me, it just doesn't really read as a yellow palette, you know? All right, so we've got that color all nice and blended out. I think it looks good so far, nice and bright. Next, we're gonna go into the color Agent, that very kind of burnt orange, slightly darker than the color Secure, but they're just like so similar in shade. I don't wanna be like super nitpicky, I didn't create this palette. I would have just loved like a little bit more of variation between those two shades, like even make this one a little bit more brown or a little bit more red, just like a little bit different, just because they are so similar. I mean, they are so similar, and this palette only has 10 shades. So I would have liked to see just a little bit more variation between those two colors. Maybe leave out one of those and put that yellow shade that I think is missing for this being a yellow palette. With there only being 10 shades, you want to get as much versatility from those shades as possible. So to me, I just feel like those shades are a little bit similar, but she could have done that for a reason. I know she really likes warm toned shades, so maybe in her mind they are different enough. So we're gonna take Agent into the crease. Initially dipping my brush into this color, it definitely has more kickback to it than the first shade that we used. I'm just kind of bringing it out a little bit on the outer corner. Okay, now I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more of access and blend. Next, we're gonna dip into the color Smooth Criminal and just continue with the same shape that we're creating here, right into the crease. A little tip for blending your crease: if you keep your eye open, you can just kind of sink the brush into the crease and just kind of blend back and forth like that. And it keeps the color really concentrated right in the crease. This is a super pretty shade. Next, we're gonna go into the color Prowl here, the deepest shade in the palette. And I'm just gonna start kind of packing this on the outer corner of the eye. Just wanna get it nice and smoky out here. And starting to bring it in onto the lid as well. This shade applies nice and opaque, which is wonderful. It's very deep and dark. I just want the main focus of this shade to be right on the outer portion of the lid. Okay, I think it's looking pretty good. It's gonna look really nice once we get it all cleaned up, because it's just kind of a mess right now. But I think I'm gonna go in and do like a half cut crease kind of on the front portion of the lid. First, we're gonna go into the shade Guilt Trip while that concealer is still wet. I'm just gonna start by taking it on my finger, and then we'll clean it up with a brush. We're gonna take this one on the inner portion of the eye. Ooh, that's a really pretty gold. And then I wanna take a little bit of Coin right where the brown meets the concealer. I'm gonna dampen a flat brush here with a little setting spray so that we can go right along that line and get it nice and crisp. And now my favorite step is to take a small eyeliner brush. I'm gonna go back into that orangey shade Agent, and we're gonna trace right along this concealer line, kind of clean it up. I just think this step helps so much. I'm gonna take a little bit more of Smooth Criminal. And then I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more of Smooth Criminal and kind of tap it right along here. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with a little bit more of the color Prowl, that really deep brown. Darken this up a little bit more. Okay, I think we are going to put this on hold for a second. I'm gonna finish up this eye, probably do my face makeup, get this cleaned up, and then we'll come back to finish up. All right guys, so the base makeup is all done here, and I kind of cleaned up the eye look a little bit. So I think we can go ahead and move on to eyeliner, which originally I was thinking that I was gonna do a black winged eyeliner, but I decided while I was doing my face makeup, I'm just gonna try to dampen this deep brown shade and kind of use that as an eyeliner instead. We're just gonna try and do like a nice little cat eye with this. It's working as a brown eyeliner very nicely. This is risky. Now we're getting some fallout. I didn't mention earlier, but there was literally zero fallout from any of those eyeshadows that we did earlier. This is the first little bit of fallout that I'm getting on my face because I'm like really digging into that eyeshadow. I'm all over the place today. Get it together, Kaylee. I feel like it looks pretty good. So on the lower lash line, I was thinking that we would just kind of do the same colors that we did up here. So I think we will do Access on the inner portion, then we'll do Agent in the middle, and then probably Smooth Criminal on the outer portion. So we're gonna start by taking Access. See what I mean? Doesn't open all the way. Then going into Agent. You guys remember when putting eyeshadows on the lower lash line wasn't really a thing? I remember that. How did we survive in those times? And then Smooth Criminal. Love that. Looks really pretty. And then for the inner corner highlight and brow bone highlight, of course, you know, we have to use this shade. So let's go ahead and let's do it first on the brow bone. Just a little bit. It's almost like it's too much of a frosty white for the colors in this palette. Like, it's a beautiful shade, but I wonder if it could have been better used in a different palette. I wonder if we could have done a little bit more of a golden highlighter shade in this palette to be more cohesive with the rest of it. Does it really go with the rest of this palette? I feel like this could have been used better in one of the other palettes. In this palette, again, look at this. We have actually three shades that are pretty similar. These three right here, especially these two, I feel like they're so similar. Maybe we get rid of one of those shades and put that white highlighter shade in this palette. Do something a little bit more golden in this palette. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely glad I have this shade in my collection now, and I'm still really excited about it. I just kind of wonder if it doesn't really go with the rest of this palette, you know? So I'm gonna put this in the inner corner here. Ooh la la. That is a bright white. Do you get what I'm saying though? It's really pretty. It's just so white with the rest of this palette. So after all that debating on my eyeliner, I still feel like it needs to be a little bit darker. So I am gonna actually go ahead and do a really thin little cat eye using a black eyeliner. Just a little bit, and I think that definitely helps. All right guys, well I think this look is about finished up here. I just popped on the Ultra Satin Lip from Kathleen Light's ColourPop collab in the color Revere. All right, so with this palette, I think that you are definitely getting really good quality, really good pigmentation. Obviously, we were able to create a really beautiful eye look very easily. Like, I didn't have to put a ton of work into creating a look this dramatic and this beautiful. Like, the colors really did the work for me. They're very pigmented, very easy to blend. Do I think that this is as good as the original Jaclyn Hill palette? I'll probably have to use it a couple more times in order to determine. She was saying that this is supposed to be better quality than those original shadows, but to me, I feel like maybe it's just because I've used that other palette so many times. I feel like those shadows were a little bit creamier. I don't know. I feel like this still has really good pigmentation, really good blendability, but I feel like the other one may just be a little bit better still. The other thing that I wanted to mention, which I kind of talked about throughout this video, is the layout of this palette. There are definitely some changes that I would make to this palette. One being the fact that these two orange shades seem to be so similar, and since this is only a 10 color eyeshadow palette, I feel like there could be a little bit more differentiation between those two shades. do something different, put a different shade in there, or make them one a little bit deeper or make one of them a little bit brighter. I just feel like that they are too similar in this palette, only having 10 shades. In addition to that white shade, I feel like we could benefit more from having a little bit more of a goldeny highlight. Still really bright and pigmented and beautiful, but maybe a little bit more golden to match the theme and the tone of this palette. With it being such a stark white, I just don't know that it goes along with everything else. Nonetheless, it's still a beautiful palette, and I feel like you can still create lots of different looks using this palette. I'm already seeing people posting looks, and I'm seeing lots of variety within those looks. So today I felt like I created something a little bit different than I've seen yet, and I've seen lots of different looks already with this palette. I would much rather purchase this eyeshadow palette than any of the other little Maybelline or L'Oreal drugstore type palettes that you can get for right around $10 or $15. I think that this is definitely better quality. It has a mirror now. That increases the value of it to me personally. Do I think you need to run out and buy this eyeshadow palette right now? No, I don't. If you eliminate these last two shades right here, this can be very easily duped out, maybe with the exception of this very bright gold shade. Other than that, these shades are found in any warm toned palette that is on the market right now, basically. So unless you are really, really wanting this green or this white, which I really was wanting that white shade, and I know I'm going to get some good use out of that, but with the exception of those two shades, you probably already have these shades in your collection. If you're really wanting to support Jaclyn, or if you're really wanting a new warm toned palette, this will definitely get the job done for you. This is Jaclyn's vision. She loves it. She created it. She works really hard on making quality eyeshadows and products for her subscribers. So I think that she did a really nice job with this palette. So I purchased my palettes at Ulta, and something to note is that you can use the $3.50 off or the 20% off, whatever coupon you have at Ulta will work on Morphe products. So if you're wanting to just go and pick up one eyeshadow palette for $15, that meets the threshold of being able to use that $3.50 coupon, and that will make this palette just $11.50, and I would say it is definitely worth $11.50. I will be doing reviews and looks using the other three palettes in the Vault collection in the upcoming week or so, whenever I can find some time. If you guys want to make sure that you see those videos, definitely make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and click the little notification bell so that you can be notified when I upload and you don't miss those videos. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome week, and I will see you in my next video.